Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Nature for Neighborhoods webinar. I thank everyone for taking some time to learn about our brand new program here in the Kootenays. So first, I want to welcome you. My name is Laurie Frankham. I'm joining you from Roslyn, British Columbia, and I work for CICUS. CICUS does work within the unceded territories of the Ktunaxa, the Syilx, the Secwepemc, the Sinixt First Nations people, and we feel very honored to work, play, and live in this beautiful part of BC. So a little bit about the Central Kootenay Invasive Species Society. We are a nonprofit, and our mission is to mitigate the impacts of invasive species on our economies and on our local ecosystems. We operate within the regional district of Central Kootenay and the regional district of Kootenay boundary areas A and B. So what we're going to go over today is what is the Nature for Neighborhoods program, a quick invasive species 101 lesson. We're going to show you how to sign up. We're going to show you how to use a Crowdsorsa app. We'll go through the 3 plants that we're targeting in this program. We're going to learn how to ID and manage them. We're going to do a quick chat about how to grow an eco garden. We'll discuss disposal, how to get paid. So what is the Nature for Neighborhoods program? So this is a DIY at-home invasive species removal program that's available to people in the RDCK areas A, D, E, F, or H. Using the Crowdsorsa app, you can earn cash rewards for removing and documenting the removal of common tansy, spotted knapweed, or Scotch broom. The goal of this program is to make invasive plant removal more accessible, rewarding, and community-driven. A big thank you to our funders, the Regional District of Central Kootenay through the Local Conservation Fund, and support from Columbia Basin Trust and the Province of BC for supporting the Nature for Neighborhoods program. If you live outside of the areas, we do highly recommend that you go and speak to your local municipality or someone at the Regional District to encourage some of your tax dollars to go towards a program similar to this. So how does it work? So the program runs from May until October 15th. And the first thing you need to do is register your qualifying property with CICUS on our website, which I'll show you to do in the next slide. Download the Crowdsorsa app, create an account. You're going to follow the Easy Plant ID and removal instructions in the app. You're going to upload before and after videos through the app. And then after that, you will get paid right through the app. So we're going to jump into our Invasive Species 101. I'm just going to stop sharing my presentation and flick over to a very short YouTube clip. So just bear with me while I change us over to a different screen.
Cute, and even cuddly.
Sorry, need to restart that for you all. Okay, from the top.
Invaders, not the space alien variety, but the uninvited plants, animals, and other organisms that arrive and cause harm in British Columbia. These plants and animals are called invasive species. Invasive species can be pretty, cute, and even cuddly, but when they enter and stay, they impact our environment, economy, and people in British Columbia. Invasive species threaten our native plants and animals by competing for food, water, and space, damaging habitat, and sometimes eating our native species, even babies. Invasive species affect the economy, for example, impacting fisheries and forest production, and reducing grazing land and crop yields. Invasive species also affect us by damaging the places where we live, work, and play. Some invasive species bite, prickle, and even cause allergic reactions. Invasive species are introduced by us, humans. The good news? Everyone can help reduce invasive species by doing things like cleaning, draining, and drying our boats, growing non-invasive plants in our gardens, not releasing unwanted pets or animals into the wild, and helping remove invasive plants. And everyone can spot and report invasive species in British Columbia. Let's stop the invasion.
Okay, I'm just gonna swap back over to my here. That's our quick invasive species 101 lesson. So what makes a plant invasive? So obviously this program is targeting invasive plants. So we'll look at the characteristics of these invasive plants and really targeting the three plants that are going to be removed, hopefully, in this program. So the first one is they produce a ton of seeds. We're looking at the plants in the program. So common tansy, we're looking at 40,000 seeds. Spotted knapweed, 5,000 seeds. Scotch broom, 10,000 plus seeds. Another characteristics of invasive plants is they have really long-lasting seed banks. So again, when we look at these three targeted plants, common tansy, 2 to 25 years, when I was doing the research to put these slides together, there was a lot of conflicting information out there about common tansy. Knapweed looking at about 7 to 8 years, and Scotch broom definitely has one of the longer lasting seed banks out there, 20 to 30 years. And some literature is reporting that given the ideal growing conditions, we can see it last as long as 70 to 80 years, that seed bank. Invasive species can quickly establish on disturbed soil, so just keep that in mind. So all three of these species can spread aggressively in disturbed and bare soil. So you typically can see these species in sites such as roadsides, overgrazed land, trails, gravel pits, parking lots, forest service roads. And maybe you're seeing it on the disturbed areas of your own property, maybe where you started to dig a garden bed or put a driveway in or any sort of construction. You might be seeing invasive species pop up in those areas. So the biggest thing that allows invasive species to do so well is they do lack any natural predators that are going to keep them at bay. So wildlife and livestock do tend to avoid these three species. Common tansy, you will sometimes see like sheep or goats browse on the really young plants, but the plant does contain a toxic compound to livestock, and if they eat too much, they will get quite sick. Something kind of cool about knapweed is we do have several biocontrol insects released in BC. So what biocontrol is, it's basically using a plant's natural enemy to help keep it under control. So what happens is scientists carefully find insects that naturally feed on the invasive plant, are very specific to that plant, and won't seriously harm native species or crops. So after years of testing, these insects may be released into places like BC. Where these bugs are present, they have significantly reduced knapweed density and seed production, especially combined with healthy vegetation recovery. It is a predator-prey relationship, so it's never going to exactly eradicate the species, but it is going to drastically reduce the density of it. Lastly, Scotch broom, you might see some goats browse on it a little bit. Something to keep in mind is small birds and mammals may use the thickets for nesting or for cover. So just be really aware of that when you go to do your treatment, have a quick look. But overall, broom does reduce plant diversity, which actually has a negative impact on wildlife overall. How do invasive species spread? So humans are the number one way that invasive species spread. And the good news about that is because we're the number one problem, we can actually be the number one solution as well by doing some simple actions. So they spread on dirty vehicles, on pets, illegal dumping of garden waste, and I'll talk a little bit later on about the proper disposal of garden waste, by moving firewood, releasing any unwanted pets, on dirty recreation gear and on dirty watercraft or related equipment. We can see plant parts and seed hitch a ride and end up somewhere brand new. And probably one of the biggest vectors of spread is the horticulture industry. So through the selling, buying, and trading of invasive plants, it is actually not illegal for a greenhouse or a supplier to sell invasive plants. So the buyer really does need to educate themselves and beware. And I will walk you through some of our eco garden resources later on to help you make safe choices for your garden. So here's just a couple of items to look into if you're looking to do some plant ID of invasive plants. If you like to have an old-fashioned book in your pocket, this is a great field guide to get your hands on. It's very specific to the noxious weeds listed for British Columbia. That's available on the ISCBC website. If you want a free resource, we highly recommend you download the iNaturalist app and create an account. This is a great tool that you can take a photo of a plant you're unsure of, click the button of what did I see, and it will give you their recommendation. And it's pretty good with invasive plants. It tends to get them about 90 to 95% of the time, which is really great. So definitely encourage you downloading that app to brush up on your plant ID skills. Our website is also a handy tool that you can use. So if you go to any of you go to the species directory and you can click on any of the species. It will give you plant ID skills. It will give you management tips. It will give you the status of what it is currently in CKIS along with our plant priority list. So definitely visit our website for more information. We also have a guide on iNaturalist that you can refer to. So again, iNaturalist, we love it. Definitely recommend, fellow plant nerds out there to get into it and learn more about iNaturalist and download the app. Okay, so let's learn about the Nature for Neighborhoods program. If you want to sign up for it, the first thing you're going to do is go to our website, so ckis.ca, and you're going to access the sign-up form that's available on our webpage. So I'm just going to stop sharing here, and I'm going to show you what that sign-up form looks like. Oh, sorry, went ahead. Let me just bear with me while I pull up our website here. Okay, so here is our website. What you're going to do is you're going to come up to this What Can You Do tab, and you're going to click At Home. And in At Home, you'll find all these different programs, and the one that you want to click on is this Nature for Neighborhoods program. So we're going to click on that. And then up here, you're going to see Sign Up, and you're going to open up this form. Now, what this form is showing you is all the information we need. So you're going to add, you're going to press continue, and then the top is very simple information. So you're just going to include your email and your name. You're going to confirm that you're within the electoral areas, and then you're going to let us know if you're going to be treating it yourself or if you're going to be adding a friend, family member, a neighbor on to your mission on your private property. Well, they'll collect the cash rewards. So you can actually toggle, you can both do it, click here, but the really important thing is to making sure that you're including the name and the email address of anyone besides yourself that's going to be doing the removal on your property. So make sure you include your mailing address because we do have, I'll get to a little bit later, but we have a special gift for the first 20 people that actually participate in the program. So really important to share it there. So once you fill all that out, you're going to click confirm. It's just as simple as that. So I'm going to stop sharing our website and I'll get back to our presentation here. Okay, step 2 is you're going to download the Crowdsorsa app and create an account. This step is really, really important. We cannot create your mission until you do this. And this has been a bit of a bottleneck. So just really ensure that you're able to do it. If you are joining us from somewhere that's outside of cell service, like the Slocan Valley or any other areas of the regional district, don't worry, we still can have you participate in the program. So definitely register your property, reach out to CKIS, and we're going to send you separate instructions for that. We still need you to download the app and create it, but you don't necessarily need cell service. I just want a little disclaimer there. But yeah, it's very important that you download the app and create an account as soon as you register your property. So a couple little notes. Already said this, you need to have a Crowdsorsa account so that we can set up your mission. Before video is needed. So do not start your removal until your mission has been set up. You'll get an email notification sent out to you to let you know. So check your email. Just note it can take up to 7 business days for us to set this up between us and the app developers in Europe. There could be a little bit of a delay. And if you miss the email, and you can also see the mission in the app, which I'll show you in the next slide here. So if you somehow miss the email notification, it's your junk mail, don't worry, you can just check back in the app and see if the mission has been set up. So it would look a little something like, oh, so 2 things. You can also set up for a sign up for our program through the app itself. You don't necessarily have to go to our website. So once you download the app, create it, you can click on the Nature for Neighborhoods, sign up, and follow the instructions in there. And then once your mission is set up, it will look like the right-hand slide. So you'll see this Nature for Neighborhoods, and this is my mission. So my name's Lori Frankham, so L Frankham. So whatever will be your first initial and your last name. And once you see that in the list, you know that your mission is set up and you can start documenting your progress of the removal invasives on your property. So I'm going to stop the presentation again and flick to a how-to video from Crowdsorsa here. Just give me a moment. And there's no sound, just so you know. Okay, so a little short video about how to use the Crowdsorsa app. Just going to go back to my slideshow. So step 3 is to read the instructions to take the quiz. So if you forget anything in this webinar, it's all in there for you. So once you're are all set up, you're going to click on the instruction video. And in the instructions, it goes over the objective. It goes over how to ID, how to record before and after videos and upload them, how to select the density, mechanical control information, disposal information, some safety notes. And one thing to note at the very end, they do ask you a couple of questions. You do have to take and pass the quiz in order to unlock your mission. Until you do that, you won't be able to hit that start mission button that you see on the screen there. So step 4 is to positively ID the plant within the game area you want to remove. So the first one is spotted knapweed. So this is the plant that we're going to be targeting. So individual purple flowers with black tip bracket at end of each stalk. The rosettes, and this is probably the stage they're at now, the rosette leaves can be 6 inches long and deeply lobed. Multi-divided leaves that get smaller closer to the shoot, about 1.5 meters tall. So knapweed typically flowers from July to September, and seed production takes place August to October. And knapweed is a biannual or short-lived perennial that reproduces solely by seed. The next plant we're targeting is Scotch broom. So it's a woody shrub that stands 1 to 3 meters tall. Its seeds are green pea pods that turn brown when seeds have finished forming. And the flowers are yellow and pea-like and may have a red marking in the middle. So Scotch broom is a very resilient perennial that reproduces by seed. It flowers from May until July, and it produces seeds from June until August. And the last plant we're targeting is common tansy. So they have these very distinct yellow button flowers. They form very dense patches, and that's because it can reproduce by both seed and rhizome, meaning that there's an undergrown stem that grows horizontally, and it can create shoots and produce brand new plants. So that's why you see common tansy forming these really, really dense patches. The leaves are deeply divided, feather-like leaves, and stems can be green, purple, or red, and they may appear spotted. So it flowers between July and September and produces seeds from August until October. And it grows about 1.8 meters tall. So the next step after you have found the patch that you want to remove is you're going to take a before video. So you're going to first, by clicking the start mission, select the plant you want to record. Just to say that if you are dealing with multiple plants within the same area, you do need to take a before video for each plant. So if you're dealing with tansy and knapweed that tend to sometimes grow together, you'll have to create 2 before videos, just so you know. You want to turn your phone to landscape mode, and you're going to hit record. So we want to start off by doing a close-up of the plant and then walking around the site that you are treating. You're going to select the density, and you can make as many treatment areas as you need. So I do recommend starting pretty small and expanding as you go out there, because essentially what you want to do is you want to make sure that you get to treating that area the moment that you've uploaded before video. So based on the area and density, you'll be given a preliminary reward estimate. And just keep in mind that this is going to change. So the reward is calculated by the size of the area, species treated, density, and the GPS accuracy. The app will help you select the density with percentage and associated graphic. The visual makes it easy, but remember that it is somewhat subjective in terms of selecting density. So step 6 is removal. The fun part. So we want to get you to mechanically remove the plants by digging, clipping all the invasive plants in that area that you just created, that polygon, and you'll see that on the map. So this is why I recommend kind of starting small, is you have 24 hours to do the removal after you've created your before video. So don't start too big. Don't sort of bite off one you can chew. Then you're going to gather your gear, so your equipment that you need. You might need some shovels, trowels, garden fork. Just grab your favorite garden tool to help dig out some plants. You want to make sure you're dressing for the weather. We do recommend anytime you're dealing with plants to wear long sleeve shirts and definitely gloves and long pants, especially common tansy, as mentioned earlier. It does have a toxic compound and it can irritate people's skin, so just keep that in mind. Definitely recommend closed-toed sturdy shoes. And then you'll need some sort of how you're going to dispose of it. So maybe you'll need a wheelbarrow or some clear bags or some tarps. So definitely thinking about what you're going to do with that plant debris after you've dug it out of the ground or after you've clipped it. Okay, so we're going to walk through now some management practices depending on the species. So I'm going to stop this and I'm going to share a video, a quick guide for cutting Scotch broom. So let's do a quick change over here. Hopefully it's quick. And here we go. So thank you to the folks from the Broom Busters for putting that very informative little video together for us. It's really great. Just gonna go back to our slideshow here. So just to recap some things that were mentioned in the video is hand pulling young plants no bigger than the diameter of a pencil. So those ones you can definitely pull out. You don't want to cut those. You want to make sure you're pulling those guys right out. In order to get them right out, this is to do with like any invasives or that you're dealing with. It's way easier to do it when the soil is moist. When dealing with Scotch broom, you do want to minimize soil disturbance by replacing any of the soil divots. And any bigger plants, so anything bigger than a pencil, need to be cut at ground level or below. Now, a big reason that we want to minimize soil disturbance is that, these seeds do have a really, really long viability, and and they do like to germinate in disturbed soil. So when we disturb the soil, we could potentially be germinating that seed bank. So replacing those divots is really, really important. So common tansy and spotted knapweed are a little bit different. These plants, you want to pull or dig up the plant, and you want to remove as much of the root as possible. The best time to pull is when the soil is moist and before it has flowers. And a mechanical removal is best suited for small infestations. So the program was initially designed around small, manageable treatment areas, and we're definitely not expecting people to dig out massive infestations or entire fields of tansy or knapweed or Scotch broom for that matter, although Scotch broom, it's a little bit easier to go in and just cut it. Digging does take a little bit more elbow grease. So if you do have a really large infestation of common tansy or knapweed, you can still participate in the program, but just know you're only rewarded for the digging. So what I suggest you do is you find an area on your property that you want to target that's really important to you and try to develop some sort of containment line from that bigger infestation from moving in. So do you have a flower garden, a vegetable garden, a pathway, a native shrub that you're trying to protect? For sure, when you combine digging smaller priority areas with the larger areas being mowed, you can slowly over time start to knock it back. But yeah, they're just being said that we are only rewarding mechanical removal in terms of digging the plant out and not mowing. So now that I've mentioned mowing, I just want to kind of give a couple little bits of information about it. So mowing knapweed and common tansy can prevent seed production. So I'm not saying don't do it. Just note that it's not going to get rid of the plant. It's only going to help with seed production. So mowing alone is not really recommended for control since it does not remove the root system. Plants may regrow and produce seeds later in the season. It is a good option if you are dealing with larger infestations where full removal is not an option. Then mowing can help, but there are a few things to keep in mind. So timing is really important. So get to these plants before they flower. You need to mow the sites very low, and regular mowing is required. A one-time mowing event isn't going to do anything. And it's really, really important that you clean your equipment. You don't want to be transferring invasive plants from one part of your property um, to another. And then lastly, as already mentioned, no reward money is going to be given if mowing is used as a control option. So by all means, use it. It's a great way to prevent seed production, but it's just not part of our Nature for Neighborhoods program. And then mowing Scotch broom is not recommended. So that plant I would definitely not mow. It's really challenging plant to mow. So some more best management practices to prevent the spread of these plants, which I already mentioned one about washing, but not only your mower do you want to wash, but you want to wash your tools, equipment, hands, footwear after doing a treatment. You typically want to start in the least infested area first before moving to a more infested area. Be mindful of where you're storing equipment and making sure it's away from invasive plants. And do your best to keep healthy, desirable plant populations intact. If you have like a really healthy native plant population growing, it's really hard for invasives to move into that specific area. So some important notes, after you have treated a site, that certain polygon that you've created is going to turn red. So when an old removal site that's previously marked red turns to green, then you can go back and retreat it. So usually it's about a 2-week window. So just keep your eyes open for that. If you happen to like have missed some plants or you see some new ones popping up, just know that area can be retreated, but you don't have to just wait a 2-week window there. The marked game area, which is your property. So the marked game area is a guideline. So we do recommend that you use your own judgment. And if you consider any location unsafe, we just don't recommend you working there. And you won't receive any cash rewards for outside of the game area. I've had some folks ask if they can treat, miniature transportation right-of-ways, ditches, things beside that. It's just not part of the program. So when we put the game area together, it is your property boundary, and that's what you will be rewarded for. So anything that's treated outside of that boundary, you will not get any reward money for. And then the last one is one area, one player. So like I said earlier, multiple people can definitely help out at your property. But what you want to do it 2 ways. The first way is to split the area up because essentially we can't have 2 folks recording and collecting the money for the same game area. So you want to make sure that you're spreading yourselves out and there isn't any overlap of those polygons. So working in 2 separate areas will ensure that. If you did want to have multiple people working within one area, that is totally fine. Just keep in mind that only one person can record and collect the money. So it's then up to you how you want to share that payment once it comes through, how you want to split that up with the people that are working in that area. So some follow-up treatment tips just to help stop the regrowth. You want to follow up monitoring and treatment is going to be required because about that seed bank just going out and pulling it once is not going to cut it. You're definitely going to have to revisit maybe the same year or definitely next year. These plants will regrow because of the seed bank. Do recommend covering up any bare soil with mulch, wood, or chips. You can see my colleague here who's spreading a bunch of wood mulch on a site where we removed a lot of invasive species and then we replanted with some native species, and now we're just covering up all that bare soil in between with a really thick layer of mulch to try to suppress any of that seed bank or stop anything from blowing in. And then replanting or reseeding an area would be fantastic if you're able to do that. So if you are looking at reseeding or creating an area where you want to like take out invasives and replant it with things, we definitely encourage you to do that by growing an eco garden. So the eco garden is a project where you help you choose non-invasive plants that attract birds and pollinators. So the eco garden, the other thing we recommend is to avoid wildflower mixes. And you can use the Eco Garden plant list on ckis.ca and iNaturalist to help you. So the Eco Garden list helps home gardeners take the guessing game out of choosing plants that benefit the environment and look beautiful. All the plants on Eco Garden list were selected by local experts and are either native or non-invasive cultivar plants that thrive in the Central Kootenay region and help support pollinators. So I'm going to show you where that is on our website right now. So I'll stop sharing this and I'll go back to the CKIS website. So ckis.ca, and you're going to go to our homepage. And again, you're going to go back up to this what can you do, and you'll go to at home, and you'll scroll down here to Eco Garden. So lots of different places to find these plant lists. You can find them over here, some valuable information. We have our document that you can print off and bring with you to a garden store with a whole list of plants. We also have sort of a really quick guide about like things to avoid planting. But the really cool thing about this is we have a native plant table down here that you can search. So let's say you can like look through the list, or if you wanted to research anything like this. So everything on here is native. We also have the cultivated plant list. Again, you can search a certain plant that you are looking to plant to see if it is eco garden friendly. And then lastly, we have a do not plant list. So these are all invasive species that we really want to see folks avoid in their garden. So the Eco Garden website is a wealth of information. And like I said, it's taking the guessing game out of, what is a safe thing I can plant in my garden that's going to look great, but it's also going to benefit the environment and it thrives here in the Kootenay. So we are really like this program, and we hope that you consider growing an eco garden on your property as part of the program. I'm just going to jump back onto my presentation here. So as an incentive to grow an eco garden as part of the program, we do have some pretty awesome giveaways. So we do have $20 eco bucks for a native plant purchase. So the first 20 people to participate in the program by submitting before and after videos will earn $20 eco bucks to spend on native plants or seed at the Kin Seed Ecology's fall plant sale in 2026. Or you can pop by our outreach booth in your area to pick up a free native seed pack Go and talk to Jessie. She's going to be at the Balfour Days on July 4th, July 10th, New Denver Market, August 1st, Castle Market. Let her know you're interested in participating in the Nature for Neighborhoods program. And once she kind of gets confirmation that you live in a qualifying part of the RDCK, you get a free seed packet. Again, these were sourced through Kinseed Ecology. So these plants are designed to thrive in your Kootenai garden. So after you have decided to do the removal, your next step is to do an after video. So you want to walk around and video record the results of your work. And it's really important you upload this video within 3 days. And you do it the exact same, turn it to landscape, shoulder height, walk around the area and upload it. And then you want to properly dispose of any of the plant debris. So you want to first check to see if the plant has flowers and seeds. If there are no flowers or seeds, sites can be left on site to dry out. So we do recommend that you pick somewhere where they can definitely dry out and not take hold. So like a tarp, a rock, a stump, or any surface they can't reroot is a good option. After they've completely dried out and they're 100% that they're dead, you can just leave it on site to compost somewhere if you like have an area in your yard, or if burning is allowed, you can do it then as well, but not when it has seeds on it. So if the seeds are present, then that is a little bit different. So you definitely want to like bag or turp it and bring it to a designated disposal site. So maybe you have this just right on your property where you're able to have like an area where you're kind of stockpiling the invasive plants, which is fine, but just know that you can bring it to the RDCK landfills or transfer stations, and no tipping fees for disposing of these plants will be applied, which is really great. The only thing is you do have to place the plants in clear bags. If you are dealing with really, really large volumes, so you see up in that top picture there, we have a big pile of Scotch broom. You can call the landfill in advance. You can only do this at landfill. You can't bring it to a transfer station, but you can call landfill in advance, let them know you have a large load that you're going to be bringing, and they just need to know in advance. But the really important thing is that you're containing this large load. So what we do is something called the burrito effect. So you'll see a tarp's been laid down there. We wrap it all up. We securely tie it to ensure no plant parts are coming out. So that might mean you put it in sealed bins or a tonneau cover, a closed trailer, something like that. So just ensuring that if it has seeds on it, when you're transferring it to the disposal site, that it is contained. One thing to keep in mind about Scotch broom is that dried out Scotch broom can be a fire hazard. So a couple options there. You can chip it up or cut it up into smaller sections and scatter it around. But if you're looking at being 100% fire smart, you should definitely remove the material from your property. So step 8 is getting paid. So we do have $100 per property available on a first come, first served basis. Videos that you've uploaded do have to get reviewed and verified. Once they're approved, you will receive a reward in your e-wallet. And you can then transfer the reward to your bank account. So within the app, you can reach out to the app developers themselves. They're really, really friendly. They're happy to help out. So what you want to do is you want to click on account and you go to contact us. So you can contact them for various reasons. So let's say you've signed up for the program, you have someone that wants to come and help you out. So you would basically contact Crowdsorsa to let them know who the new person is going to be, what your current mission is called, and give the name and email address, and we can add that person to the app. So if someone is separate, just note that their mission is going to be a separate mission and they will be paid separately from yourself, but they can happen on your property. If there's a mistake on your game area, like let's say we didn't actually go to your property line or something got left out, definitely reach out to them as well to get that fixed. Or if you're having any issues at all with the app or payment or your videos or anything like that, they're happy to help you out. So definitely reach out to them if you have any anything you need. So a big thank you again to our funders, the Regional District of Central Kootenai, the Columbia Basin Trust, and the province of BC for supporting the Nature for Neighborhoods program. If you have questions or comments, SEEK is also here to help, so you can definitely reach out to us. You can go to our website, seekis.ca, or flick us an email, info@seekis.ca. So thank you very much for participating in our Nature for Neighborhoods webinar. We look forward to seeing the work that's done, and we want to see a reduction in all these invasive plants. So thank you so much for your time, and happy to see so many folks interested in the program. Take care.